Hello, everyone. My name is Martin Gilchrist, and I'm here today with Ruth, but more about Ruth than we know. The reason we're here is that William Redpath, the group coordinator, I can nearly say that, coordinator of Gurmouth County Down, has very kindly asked me to assist him with some of these introductory interviews with members of the group, just letting people know who people are and what they do. And Ruth has very kindly volunteered of herself to be one of the first, which is always a little bit frightening. You never know what way these things are going to work out. But Ruth is a wonderful woman and has been of great assistance to me personally and brought a lot to the group over the course of the last few months. And I'm delighted to be with her today. We don't have much time. We're trying to keep this to 5 minutes. So without further ado, we'll get into the questions. So Ruth, who are you?
Well, I am Ruth, first and foremost. I'm Ruth Young, and my business is Ruthless Media. I don't want to say too much because I think it leads into the next question, so I'll leave it at that.
Super. Well, that's a nice, short and sweet answer. But tell us a little bit more about Ruth Young. What makes you up? What are the component parts? Why are you such a fantastic person and doing such good works around the world? What makes you who you are?
I don't know how to answer that. Oh dear. I mean, being sort of described as fantastic depends on the perspective of the person describing you, of course. But I guess I've been in my business for about 4 years now, but I've been a part of several networks and I love connecting with other people. My background before that was working in charities and communities. So I've always been a people person. So the Grow Remote thing has definitely been something that I want to be a part of in terms of connecting with like-minded people. And I'm not getting too much more on that sort of side of things because I know it's another question coming up. But in terms of me, definitely a community person. I've got a little family, married, and then I've got two kids, one who's about to turn 5 in a week's time, and then the youngest just turned 2 a few weeks ago. So they're both very little, and being able to work for myself in my own business has been great to manage family life and juggle all of that and get to network and connect with great people like you as well.
Brilliant. So that puts a little bit of meat on the bones. That's a little bit more than the name itself. And I can vouch for a lot of that because I've met your wonderful kids at a networking day that we had in Hillsborough, and they were lovely little people. This is the word, lovely little people. And as for being a group person and a people person, one of the best events I was at last year was your Christmas party. So you went to the trouble with no expectation on return or no looking for reward, for free. You put your time into hosting a freelancers Christmas party, and I have to say it was a fantastic event. I think there was about 40 odd people turned up, maybe more. And certainly everybody I met on that day spoke of how wonderful it was. It really was a fantastic thing. So thank you for that, Ruth. Thank you for that.
I bumped into someone who was at it today. Well, two people. One who said, when's the next one? So need to get planning that. And then another one who said she was so inspired. She was working for someone at the time, but she was so inspired by all the freelancers in the room that she quit her job and has gone freelance now. So it was just like, wow, my gosh, never thought that would be an outcome of a Christmas dinner.
Changing lives with your changing life.
Well, we try.
That's who you are. What do you do? What's your business? How do you make a living? You know, shaking trees and kicking bones. What is it you do?
So Ruthless Media is a social media, I want to say agency, but it's just me. And I help people with social media basically around strategy, training, mentoring, paid advertising. And I do that because I spent 15 years in community work and I was using social media and other digital marketing tools to promote the organization, to recruit volunteers, to sell products that we had in the organizations and social enterprise and so on. Raise awareness, fund all sorts of different things. And I know how hard it is to be a person who's trying to do one job, but then also have to like market and advertise and promote yourself. Whether that's a charity or a business or an organization of some kind. I know how difficult it can be. So I knew from my own training background as well that it'd be a great opportunity for me to share my skills and experience. And I also get to work with some great, wonderful people who just want to learn and develop their own skills too. And when I see the impact of that coming out in tangible results for them, it's just incredible. So I had a call from a client, well, from an associate last week who we'd been working on a client with together, who their goal was to increase the membership in their organization. And since our training with them, it's increased, and they've seen the impact of that, and they're so happy that they feel more confident about using social media to connect with their target audience, to articulate what they do better, and actually get active engagement and get results from it as well. So that's through the training, mentoring, and paid advertising and strategy development as well.
And the best business name in Northern Ireland, Ruthless Media. Because if somebody was to try and describe Ruth Young to me, I certainly wouldn't use the word ruthless, but I love the name. I love the name. Very well done there. One question in regard to what it is that you do. When you think about what you do on a practical basis, when you're sitting with a client or when you're doing your job, what is the thing that either knocks the socks off people because they're so impressed by it, or that you can't wait to get your teeth into because you really love it? What is the thing about what you do at Ruthless Media that I can't wait? I'm getting up today and I'm going to go out there and do. What is it?
Oh, God, I mean, it's so varied because it really depends on the person and where they're at and what they want to achieve. So for me, it's just the light bulb moment for them, whatever it is relating to social media, the light bulb that goes off. Maybe it's even just the idea of pre-preparing your content and scheduling it and feeling like, right, that's it, done and organized for the month. Or maybe they're wanting to reach new audiences through paid advertising, and they're saying that, for 50 quid, we got like so many new hits on our website and then so many sales because of that. So seeing that light bulb moment of, oh, this is making a difference, that's what really gets to me. Then it really helps me to keep doing what I'm doing, and gets me excited about what I'm doing because it's making a positive impact for not just them in their pocket or whatever, but seeing the wider impact of that in terms of community and charity and so on as well, that sort of has a wider impact that way.
And in the world of small business, Northern Ireland's a small business economy. It's either public sector or small business, very few big businesses. So it's people like you and me out fighting a good fight with our friends, supporting us and encouraging us and motivating us and doing all that. And we bump into each other all the time. And I know you've got lots of good friends, and I've got lots of good friends, and it's all businesses helping us. There really is a wonderful ecosystem of freelancers and small businesses out there. In that, and it's an awful thing to ask you to do, but you are an expert in this field, so I'd love to hear your opinion on this. So I'm going to ask you a tough question. Who do you think's doing the social media thing really well? Who would you refer to as a shining light or a good example of, if you're going to do social media, look what they're doing?
It really depends. Besides me, of course. No,
Obviously, you're not allowed to say yourself.
No, it really depends. It depends on your niche and your industry. I would prefer to, if you were to say like, for yourself, an accountant, I would look at, who's going to be a good accountant to not necessarily compare yourself but to sort of think, right, they're doing it really well. How can we take learnings from that and improve what we're doing? So I don't want to name anyone in particular because it's going to be different from niche to niche. And if I say one particular person, it's not going to apply to a different industry altogether. So yeah, I don't want to answer that question in the way that you would like it to be answered.
That's really not the hook there. Well done. No, fair enough. No, you're absolutely right. And it wouldn't be fair either to pick out JP and Dawn a core impact.
No, basically anyone in their industry who is doing really well at sharing what they do, engaging with them and targeting the right people, they're doing well. So think about who you're targeting, who you want to connect with, share for them, share where they're at, and engage with them on whatever platform that is. There's your 3 tips there.
Yeah, all you had to say was Gilchrist and Co. You couldn't make it.
Well, I didn't want to embarrass you.
Well, anyway, moving swiftly on. What are you hoping? What are you hoping to bring to this group?
Do you know what I love about networking is being able to not only be help, but to help other people as well. So if I find that there are people who are looking for a solution to a problem and I know that solution and introducing them to that solution, that always helps me in some way, just feel like, oh, I've made a difference, and I like that. So I like the sense of doing that, but I also like the sense of being with like-minded people, and being able to help other like-minded people to develop and grow as we do that together on a journey. So I think that's what I like about the idea of Grow Remote. While we're all people in similar situations, doing similar styles of work, not necessarily the same work, but styles of work, we can really support each other to develop and grow what we're doing personally, professionally, and so on and so forth.
You've worked with loads of groups, and you've contributed to the community in many different ways over the course of years. A lot of it with youth groups and stuff, and um, and just a whole list of things. So you've a huge amount of experience of that environment of bringing people together, trying to find a common purpose, and then driving that common purpose forward for results and whatever these groups are for. In your experience, what makes a good group? What makes a group work?
One that invites people to be engaged and active within it instead of just having someone who's leading it and telling us all what to do. People who actually want to play an active role within it, maybe even having a responsibility for something within the group, but inviting people to contribute to the conversation, to share and engage and interact in some way, gives them a bit of ownership, makes them feel just part of the community, and not just an observer. So um definitely giving people responsibilities within that, and even if that's just, like on the post or comment or take part in the poll or whatever it may be, inviting people to actually actively engage and participate within the group
So
usually leads to some sort of success.
that's what I think. That's what William's trying to do. I think part of this here, this is an outreach, so that people not only know who the members are, but also give them an opportunity to have a voice. Tell everyone else who they are, and make suggestions and come up with ideas and ask for stuff. And it's just a nice way. I know William had shared his first get to know you interview or profile interview this morning, and it was a lovely wee conversation. It was really one of the ladies I hadn't met before, and it was just a way of getting an insight in something I haven't seen before. So yes, that's what I hope to bring to the group as well. That's why I'm here. But what are you hoping to get out of the group? What's your selfish isn't the right word, but what's your personal interest? If the group was working for you, what would it be doing?
Well, I guess all the things that I'm wanting to bring to it for people to reciprocate that. So I'm wanting to bring support for other people and I want support from people. I want to bring connection for other people and I want connections from people. So I want to build that sort of sense of give and take and reciprocity. And that's what I would really like out of Grow Remote then, sort of feeling like I'm part of a wider community of similarly experienced and minded people who are giving and supporting each other back and forth.
And what's the structures or the policies or the processes in a very simple way, in a very because Grow Remote is a free group. There's no resources out there. There isn't a big pot of money or a funding body or someone else's help. The group is its members, and it's what the members do together that brings the value. So if you were, and this is your chance, if you were to say to William or the members about things that could be done to help you get what you want out of the group, what sort of things could the group do that would help you get what you need, what you want, what you would love to see the group doing?
Um, I think it's online, probably the engagement and conversation, and not just within the group, within like wider posting that people do. So interacting on each other's posts and helping to build each other's profile in that respect, not just within the group, and feeling like, you have a support network of people who get it, and they know what it's like to try and build your visibility when you're on your own. So being able to comment and share and engage on the people's content and so on, one thing. And then secondly, meeting in person and being open to having conversations with someone that you've never met before, or deepening relationships that you've had for a long time. So even if you and I were to meet again at Grow Remote and so on, getting to know each other better and facilitating opportunities to do that.
love that idea. I love that's why I like talking to you, Ruth. You always come up with fantastic out of the box ideas. But that idea of yes, we're part of a group, Grow Remote. And yes, we turn up and we do networking and we have panel discussions, we have dinners and lunches and all these different things that we can do together as a group. But it doesn't just have to be on the day that we're meeting, that 1 month every day that you hello, have we chat and then not see each other again for a month. Like posting, commenting, sharing, liking, supporting online, or reaching out to people that you've met within the group and grabbing a coffee or offering to support them because we're all doing other things. For example, your Christmas party, I was delighted to go along to that and help with that. But we're all doing stuff, and I know you've supported myself. So it was only 2 or 3 weeks ago that we were. Was it even 2 or 3 weeks ago we were in Belfast? Was that even a week ago?
I'm losing track of time too.
No,
I'm just
I know so much
I'm
happening.
looking forward to the chocolate at Easter. I'm losing track of time here. I'm just Easter.
You just have to survive until then. Yeah, so you're absolutely. I think that's a wonderful idea, and William, take note. That's a good idea. Find a way of encouraging that. Ruth, you're a very efficient answerer of questions. We're only 2 minutes 7 seconds into the interview, and you've answered all the questions already, which is fantastic because you like to keep these things short and sweet. But I'm going to ask you a fun question for myself, for my own selfish interests, and just another question for 2 more questions is essentially what I'm trying to waffle my way to the point of.
I'm worried what's coming now.
Tell us something, Ruth, about you that people wouldn't generally know, but is relevant to what we're doing at Grow Remote. Like, I'm not asking for some sort of dark secrets from the cupboards, but some positive community related.
I haven't talked about this online for a while, I suppose. But what year is it? 13 years ago, I took a team to Uganda, and these were people who were aged 18 up to 70 plus, and they we built a school while we were there, in partnership with a local church that was there and so on. And because I was leading the team, the local builders who were working with us to instruct us and teach us how to build and all the rest, because I'd never built a school before, So they kept calling me Kanyama, 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 and I didn't know what this meant. And I was like, is it something derogatory? Could you just call me Ruth? I answered that better. So anyway, later on down the line, I asked our interpreter, what are they calling me? Is it some derogatory comment or something? Or, is it, what is it? And he says, no. Well, they look at the people in our community who are leaders, and they're typically older, gray-haired men. But you are this young woman who's not gray-haired, and you're leading these men who are older and gray-haired. So they're calling you strong one. And I was like, wow, okay, that's really cool. So funnily, my maiden name was Strong. And yeah, so it all just got tied in this whole theme of like strength and inner strength and so on. So I now have tattooed on my foot Kanyama to remind myself that I walk in strength and I am strong within, regardless of what's going on. So there you go. You weren't expecting that, were you?
I absolutely was not expecting that. That is a fantastic story. That's exactly the reason for asking that question. Tell us something about you that people wouldn't generally know. That's a lovely story. What part of your foot is it on the sole of your foot where people wouldn't see it, or is it on the side of your foot?
On the side of my foot, my right foot, and it's just kind of there to remind me that no matter what I go through, even at the hardest of times, I'll have that strength to get through it.
That is a wonderful story. Thank you for sharing that, Ruth. And the final question of this evening, then you can go about your business, because you've just come out of, I understand, we were talking before we came on, you've been working hard all day, giving workshops, and talking, and I'm sure you must be, even though you don't look it, you must be completely exhausted. I understand you're in the car park somewhere,
Yep.
and you want to get home and get some dinner. So I appreciate you taking time out of all of that to talk to me. The final question is, and it's quite a self-serving question for me. If you were given a question, and you're going to ask any question, Grow Remotely type related, don't be coming and ask me a tax and pensions question, but grow related, community type related, and you were directing at me or William, and I'll try and answer on his behalf if I can. What is the question? What's the fun question? Burning question? Hard question? Easy question? What would you ask me if you could ask anything?
Okay, so where do you see the group in 1 year's time, 2 years' time, 5 years' time?
This is brilliant because William's not here, and I'm not in charge. So I have total responsibility, so I can say whatever I want. Yeah, well, right. As an ordinary member, just like yourself, I'm nothing more than that. I'm a member just trying to help out the great work.
Yeah, but where do you see it? Not necessarily our very esteemed leader. Where would you like it to be in 1 to 5 years' time?
Unbelievably, we're almost 6 months into it already, so we're halfway through the first year. What I would like to see now, this is my accountant's head on me and my business head on me. I'd love to see more structure come into place, so good corporate governance, planning, strategy, and all that type of stuff. In order for that stuff to happen, you have to have steering committee, a support group, a panel, a board, whatever that is. It can be very loose linked and very light touch. But I would love to see that support for William, because William works very, very hard. I know he doesn't make much of it, and he doesn't, doesn't complain or anything, just gets on and does it. What he does is hard. And I want this to survive. So I would love to see the members of the group coming in and starting to crystallize around that idea of how do we make this stronger? How do we put a bit of structure in there so that then we can start sucking in all the other good stuff that comes around that? Because after a year, I would love to see the foundations of that. 5 years from now, I would love to see that the group is still here and it is continuing to grow. So rather than having 45 members or whatever it is, that we have 500 members, something in and around that. Not turning up at every single event, but certainly they're involved. And eventually what I would like to get to see that Grow Remote County Down is a brand that everybody recognizes right away. And when they're thinking about either starting a business or going into freelance business or going to work from home or work remotely, that they know the resources from all that and the people who are willing to help them and the teams that are there to support them are Grow Remote, and Grow Remote becomes that thing. That's where I think I would love to see it come. But I also want it to continue to be something that's fun. I would love to see, I was down in a place in Newcastle and they have electric bikes, electric powered bicycles.
Yeah, oh, I'd love an e-bike.
I was thinking, wouldn't it be great if we all went out for a wee run around Castle and Forest Park and them? That would be a great thing. Or we had a picnic somewhere, or what just to do. It doesn't all have to be work, to do the fun stuff as well. So do all that important structural stuff to support it and develop it and all the rest, but then get ourselves to a situation where we're also having a lot of fun. What about you? Any answering your own question? What do you think?
Yeah, I would like to see much bigger group, probably around that 500 mark that you mentioned. I think that'd be great. Again, not necessarily everybody turning up to every meeting, but feeling like that even at that stage, there's a sense of community, that people know each other and can rely on each other, and might even be like little micro communities within that, but growing to that sort of point where people are still very actively engaged and inviting other people to be a part of that as well.
Brilliant. Okay, I think we've done our time. Thank you very much, Ruth, again, for joining me this evening. I look forward to seeing you shortly at the next Grow Remote event. I think it's going to be a pop-up co-working day, and the event is still to be arranged. And if not, I'm sure our paths will cross sometime before then.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Cheerio.
Bye.